Well, for more on the state of sports gambling in the United States, I'm joined by Daniel Wallach. He's the founder of Wallach Legal, a law firm devoted to sports wagering and gaming law. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So as we know, the Supreme Court reopened the door to sports betting in the U.S. this year. So what exactly did that decision do for sports betting?
Well, before the Supreme Court decision, all the U.S. states except for Nevada were forbidden from legalizing sports betting. So you had Las Vegas basically having a monopoly throughout the United States. It was the only state or the only location where one could legally wager on professional or collegiate sporting events. But due to the Supreme Court's decision, which said that the federal law that was passed by Congress, which prohibited states from authorizing sports betting, the court held that that law was unconstitutional, and it was, as a result, it was struck down. And following the court's ruling, states are free to decide for themselves whether they wish to legalize sports betting. And in the last 5 or 6 months, approximately 5 additional states have legalized sports betting. So we now have 6 states across the U.S. where residents and those physically located within those states can legally wager on sports.
So you mentioned some of the individual states that have really taken up this momentum. What sort of economic impact have they seen so far?
Well, the key driver in some of the first mover states has been the availability of internet and mobile gaming. The original thought behind legalizing sports betting was to allow casinos and racetracks to offer that amenity to their patrons. But most of the new states now have mobile and online betting, and that has constituted the vast majority of the wagering market in states such as New Jersey, where online betting constitutes probably 2/3 of the overall betting activity in that state. So online is king in the United States.
Now, as we know, the head of the NBA said that he supported this even before the decision came. Other sports leagues have been a little more reticent. How have they been reacting so far?
Well, the Major League Baseball and the NBA have joined hands in trying to lobby before state legislatures and try to persuade those states that are considering sports betting bills to adopt measures that would protect the integrity of the game. For example, the NBA and Major League Baseball would like to see the league's official data streams used to settle in-game or in-play bets, which would be the official, data streams of those leagues. Secondarily, the leagues would like to have the ability to monitor the wagering in real time by having a state law which requires betting companies to share their betting transactional data in real time with the leagues so that the leagues can better monitor the betting activity so that they can ferret out suspicious or unusual betting patterns that could give rise to a fixed or corrupt match. Thirdly, the NBA and Major League Baseball would like to receive a royalty of 0.25% of all the betting activity in those states where sports betting is legal. And they've been pushing hard in states all across the country to include a royalty, given the fact that without the NBA and without Major League Baseball, there's no betting. You need the games and you need the investment that those leagues make in those games to have a betting market.
Now, it's interesting because you know that Major League Baseball is now trying to get a cut of the profits from casinos when it comes to sports betting. Tell us more about that relationship.
Well, it's not a cut of the profits. They're asking for a royalty, just like any other business would that sees its product exploited by others in the commercial marketplace. In the United States, we have a horse racing industry in which you can bet on races that take place at another track, and the local track has to pay a royalty to the track which originates the race. So what Major League Baseball and the NBA are looking for is essentially a royalty based upon the fact that they create the product which gives rise to the betting, but moreover, sports betting is somewhat different than horse racing because there is an additional integrity risk. If there is an increase in the amount of betting that takes place, throughout the United States, that will raise the level of risk associated with sports betting, match corruption. There could be additional fixed matches. More betting will give rise to more opportunities to throw the games. There'll be inside information potentially shared. So the leagues will incur additional monitoring and investigative expenses. So they're being faced with all this additional risk, And this additional expense, coupled with the fact that they've created the very product which gives rise to the ability to bet on the games. So what they are asking for is not a share of the profits, but a small royalty, 0.25%, to recognize the fact that they've created the product, it's their commercial enterprise, and that they incur additional risk and expense associated with expanded sports betting in the United States. And that's a battle that is playing out in state legislatures across the country. And so far, the leagues have not been very successful in convincing state lawmakers, but the battle is early. And I think 2019, the leagues should experience somewhat additional or more success in persuading states to give them a royalty. But that's going to be a state-by-state battle. They're going to win some, potentially lose some, but somewhere down the road, I believe Congress, our federal government, will weigh in and create uniform rules of the road and a federal framework that could eventually end up compensating the leagues.
All right, thank you so much, Daniel Wallach, there, founder of Wallach Legal.